Project Passion, episode 5. My name is Johnny Thompson, and this is the podcast created to help you find your passion and turn it into a successful business or career. So this week I have James McKnight on the show, and James is a mixologist, he's a professional bartender, and a lover of all things cocktail and liqueur, as you're going to find out. The reason I actually brought him on the show, so I'd say he's a mixologist bartender, but he actually uses his love and his passion for cocktails and mixology to build his own Instagram, which he's currently in the middle of doing, based around his own craft cocktails and his own custom drinks. But Trent, do you want to just kind of introduce yourself a little bit as well?
Yeah, sounds. I kind of just stumbled upon this through potluck, really. I got into the trades originally through a nightclub and a live music venue, Sin City. Don't get me wrong, I was very rarely on bar, but that's how I sort of got into the trade. There was a running joke that I shouldn't even be on bar. But that was more the fact just because I preferred to be on floors where everyone was dancing and having fun. But however, there wasn't really a lot of hours there. And once I graduated from uni, I couldn't afford rent. So I had to get another job. Yeah. So anyway, ended up working for a chain cocktail bar and restaurant, Las Iguanas, which was really sort of my first introduction into cocktails. Looking back on it, it's cringy. I had no idea what I was doing. Honestly, like some of the stuff I used to do on the bar was just I can't even talk about some of it now. It's fucking stupid. But anyway, was maybe there about 6-7 months. Not enough to get good at anything, but enough to realize that actually this is quite fun. It's different to just pulling pints or sticking a double in a glass and drowning it in Coke. There's a bit more creativity to it. It was fun. There was history to it. I think the history is what really sort of got me into it. Like there's more to it. Like you could read back on it and who invented this. There was a whole sort of culture behind it, which I quite liked. So anyway, like after that, I sort of traveled around a number of different bars doing odds and sod jobs, like bits and pieces. Sometimes I was waitering. Sometimes I was lucky enough to actually be on the bar making cocktails. But everywhere you went, I picked up a little piece here, a little bit there. But really, the vast majority of like my learning on how to be behind the bar and basically manage a bar was in Turtle Bay, so very chain restaurant to Las Iguanas. So they taught me a lot of stuff, like basic stuff, but more the managerial side of it. So the only trouble with working for chain restaurants and stuff like that is there isn't the creative outlet. You're handed a spec. You're expected to make drinks to this standard, the same drinks all the time, and that's fine. It's a great way of learning the basics and that, but it doesn't really offer a lot in terms of developing your skills as a bartender. So in the end, I spent some money, stocked a home bar. Probably spent a bit too much money stocking my home bar, to be honest, but I've still got way too much liquor, but that's fine. We're working through that. And just practice and experiment. But quite early on, I realized it's all very well practicing these skills and trying to learn and create my own cocktails, but if I don't remember how to make them, there's not a lot of point in doing them. Exactly. And that's pretty much why I started my Instagram page. Was just initially a means for me to look back and go, oh yeah, that worked.
It allows you to document what you're putting out as well.
And after a while, it sort of became a bit more like a portfolio, and I started getting people actually like interested in the drink, started commenting like, "Oh, how'd you make this?" And it's sort of from one step to the next. To be honest with you, I think it was a big help in getting my most recent job, which is in Maisie's in Uplands in Swansea. And like, granted, I started around about the time of lockdown, so I haven't really experienced it in full swing yet. But so far, I'm like a pig in shit. I'm happy there. It's sort of the first place it's given me like real sort of creative freedom. So I've been allowed to create their new cocktail menu. I've been given special boards, basically everything I've sort of asked for so far. They've gone, yeah, sound, no worries, we'll get that, or yeah, fire away. So it's nice, after so many years of working for larger chains where you can't really do that, and if you do that, you can land yourself in trouble. For example, even if you put the wrong garnish on a drink, say a guest took a picture of that and they posted it to their social media, you then get head office contacting the site going, what's that? That's not to spec, blah, blah, blah. And so it didn't really do a lot to expand your horizons and creative aspects. Whereas Maisie's is a whole nother ballpark. It's a playground at the moment. I love it. It really is.
I think it's pretty much like, I think obviously people aren't going to understand, but obviously if anyone doesn't know, I met you in Turtle Bay when we were both working there. So that's sort of the background for anyone that doesn't know. That's where I met James properly. I met you before in Sin, but properly as friends I met in Turtle Bay.
Got properly acquainted.
Yeah. And as you were saying it, I mean, I love Turtle Bay. I mean, I left twice and came back. And I mean, you've left now as well, but I think you probably still agree, like, even with the bad bits, you would say, probably the bits you don't like as much, Turtle Bay is an incredible chain. Like, I still love it.
For anyone, I'd recommend for anyone who is looking to get into cocktails or in that side of the industry, starting somewhere like Las Iguanas or Turtle Bay
100%
is that's a great place to start. Because you're going to be surrounded by people who are going to give you what you need to know, the basics of this is why you do this is why you do that. And if you're willing to learn and you want to learn, you'll learn enough that you can then go and work in most, I wouldn't say all cocktail bars, certainly not.
No.
There's a huge, like, I'm not qualified to work in certain cocktail bars, like, fuck. But my point is, it's a great place for you to learn those basics for you to then go and branch out elsewhere. If, however, you are looking more down the managerial side and you need more the running of the business, then that's great. I don't know, it's a good place to stay, because I mean, even if in your site there is an opportunity, you can venture elsewhere. Don't get me wrong, it's not for everyone. Like, I started going down it, and it has its benefits. Like, you can learn a lot doing that if you want.
I get it, yeah. Like, I love bar management, but I wouldn't want to be a bar manager in Turtle Bay. But if you ask me where would be the top place you'd want to be a bartender again, it'd be Turtle Bay. Like, I think people as well, I mean, Turtle Bay, I'd say, breeds bartenders, like breeds career bartenders, because you learn so many core skills with your, like, I mean, people that I've seen come into Turtle Bay, when they start bartending and learn to make cocktails, it's like they enjoy it a lot more than other places I've worked when you try to teach someone, because they learn the full spectrum.
Well, yeah, I agree with you, but it's like I said, it's like that in a lot of chain restaurants. But I think, especially for our site, when we were working together, I still go on about it. We had at one point this little golden team together. It was like you, me, Jake, and Gary, and Kyle as well at points. But either way, we were all we were
a shit hot bartending team.
We all loved what we did, and I think as well what helps, having that team, a knowledgeable team around you who love what they do, but it also gives you that sort of slight competition. Oh yeah, like, you and me with the flaring. Like, don't get me wrong, you're still way ahead of me when it comes to flaring, but I wouldn't be able to do any of the shit I can do with flaring if it wasn't for the fact me seeing you doing it. Well, I'm not letting you get in too far ahead of me. So I think a certain amount of competition is great. And another thing I'd recommend to anyone wanting to get into this career is don't stay at a bar for 8 or 10 years or something like that. If you really love it and you don't want to leave, that, fair enough. But if your goal is to get better as a bartender, improve and travel around, like, if you find somewhere that's nice, stick there for a while. But like, I learned something new from every single bar I work at. I learned something new from every single bartender I've worked with. little things that you'd never even consider. And it all builds you as a bartender and what you can do. So that's another thing. As much as, I'd say big chain restaurants and cocktail bars are a great place to learn your basics and get introduced to it. I wouldn't stay there forever. I'd recommend venturing out and trying to get into maybe smaller, more craft cocktail bars, more independent owned, where you might get, a bit more creative freedom. You can, you haven't got to liaise everything through so many middlemen to get to head office. You can go trap on the door of your manager, like, look, I've got this idea. How about we do this? I mean, they may turn around and be like, no, that's a crap idea. But the point is, you got the idea to who it needed to be to, and you get back in the same conversation.
You kept your job.
Yeah. So I think.
One thing I'll ask you as well, if you feel the same, because apart from the bartending, in terms of learning how to live and work within the industry, and with, as you say, going to smaller craft, more expensive, high end, going between different bars, I found, for me personally at least, it helped me get a better understanding of the industry. Because I think if you just stay with like a company like Turtle Bay, you sort of get one picture of it without then working at different ones.
Hospitality industry is absolutely huge. There's loads of different niche aspects to it. Like ideally, one day I want to open my own small little speakeasy style craft cocktail bar. However, long before I do that, me and one of my friends, Lauren, she's an old housemate of
I was going to ask you about this.
There we go. We want to set up a sort of a mobile coffee shop and cocktail bar. The idea behind it being that one of the main expenses in running a bar is obviously your rent, unless you can afford to buy the building outright, which is, let's face it, not going to happen really. And rent is getting higher and higher. By having a mobile cocktail bar, it's a much more, you can buy that outright. That solves your rent problem. The other biggest thing is, customers. Are you in a good location? Are you in a location where you're going to get that passing trade? Well, with a mobile cocktail and coffee bar, you just go to wherever the trade is. So I think it would be a nice introductory way of breaking ourselves into the industry with what little money we have, and hopefully build from that, by just taking away two of the biggest sort of pressures straight away. But no, the reason it's my old housemate Lauren is she used to be she's coffee mad. Like she's a wizard when it like so. And the other benefit is Lauren is got a business head switched on. I mean, you know me. I know the cocktails inside and out. I can explain the science of the cocktails, and I can do that so the cows come home. But Lauren's there already looking at what sort of payment system we're going to use, and like what sort of PDQ. I'm like, I didn't eat
because that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, just that's a tenner, mate.
How do you work out as well? What way does that work? I don't want to put you on the back foot here, but do you know what way that works? If you looked at in regards to licensing for outdoor temporary structure alcohol sales, have you looked at that?
To be honest, we haven't got that far at the moment. Like I said, me and Lauren got about a 5-year plan. At the moment, we're raising funds. Next step is sorting out personal licenses for at least probably me to begin with, and Lauren one, because at the end of the day, we're probably going to be on shift together, and we only need one of us.
You need the one.
But before really we talk about like the premising licenses and that sort of, or temporary events licensing, we realistically need to figure out what it is that we're going to like convert in order to get
you need your actual business model, I suppose, set down first.
At the moment, we're still trying to figure out what is the best, because although there are loads of mobile coffee vans, there are mobile cocktail bars, there's very few that try and put them both together, because you are limited on space. So at the moment, we're still sort of trying to figure out what would be the best way of doing it. Would be an old horse box, what sort of size we would need to accommodate, because at the end of the day we are going to need an ice machine. We can't, cocktails require ice. I can't be running off to the shop every 10 minutes to ice. So, it's just trying to figure out the spacing of it first. Once we figure out what model vehicle or horse box it is that we're going to use, and how the spacing will work on that, then we can start asking the questions we need to ask about when it comes to licensing and stuff. But realistically, in my mind, I think we'd have to have a sectioned off outdoor area probably, and using most likely plastic glassware. I can't imagine glassware be allowed given the nature of the business, really, which is going to be another drawback, because that's a lot of disposable glassware you're going to have to again stock in a small space. So there's a lot of drawbacks to starting off in that sort of small confined space, but I think in the long run it is probably a safer option for someone like me and Lauren who haven't got that sort of funding or backing. We're trying to set it up realistically mostly off our own back.
Of course, it's a bootstrap, isn't it? It's like take the money you get off the first day, put it in the next day.
So we'll see how it goes, but I'm very hopeful about it. I think it'll work well. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know anyone who knows coffee better than Lauren, and I'm very confident in my own cocktail abilities. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, like I said, that's a few years off anyway. At the moment, I think Maisie's is going to be a great couple of years for me here, because it's going to really allow me to expand skills that I've wanted to try but never had the resources to do. Like, so what is it we're talking about doing? Have you seen those smoke bubbles? Or the vapor bubbles, to be honest.
Yeah.
We're trying to experiment with them at the moment.
Oh, nice.
And stuff like that, and smoke guns. I'm also trying to make, what is it? I think you get them in the Taiwanese bubble tea, the little cocktail.
Oh yeah.
Them. So yeah, it's a lot of skills. Like I said before, I just didn't really have the resources to do on my own, and big chain restaurant was never really going to kind of let me do it. I think the next few years is really going to be about honing my craft, and then I think it's time me and Lauren start focusing, saving, and trying to get this mobile business off the ground. Obviously in the meantime, my Instagram is still going to be a little creative outlet there.
I was just about to say about that. So I'm just going to read out, right, one of these recipes just off the top. This is like in fact, this is your most recent drink you put up, and I'm just going to read this out for people just to hear sort of what he's really playing with around here. So the cocktail ingredients list is called Floral Delights, and the list is Whitney Neal Parma Violet Gin, Edinburgh Gin Distillery Elderflower Liqueur, lime juice, simple syrup, butterfly pea extract, aquafaba, I don't know what the fuck that is, and garnished with an ivy leafed toad flax.
So aquafaba. I'll start with the aquafaba. So aquafaba is essentially a vegan and vegetarian option for replacement for egg white. For anyone who doesn't know, we use egg white in cocktails for mainly 3 reasons. One, to create a nice thick foam on the top that you usually see in sours and stuff like that. The other reason is it gives you a nice sort of creamy sort of mouthfeel to it. But thirdly, it can be used as an emulsifier. So basically you can then incorporate ingredients such as, so for example, in work we stock truffle oil.
Nice.
Well, obviously oil and water don't mix, but if you shake it with egg white, they do. So it's another way of incorporating different textures and different flavors that you wouldn't normally be able to incorporate. I didn't use any oil in this cocktail. This was purely just to create a nice foam on it.
Foamer, yeah.
The ivy leaf toad flax I was out the back of where we work having a cigarette, and you've probably all seen ivy leaf toad flax. It is literally everywhere. It grows on most walls, especially if you live in Wales. It's a very pretty little flower. I don't believe it's edible, which is why they're just stuck around the outside of the glass and incorporated in the flavors. But yeah, it's just, I saw that while having a cigarette. I thought that would make a lovely little garnish around the drink. It just so happened that the butterfly pea mixed with the lime juice creates almost the exact same color as those flowers. That was more...
I was going to say that because butterfly pea extract, it looks like a dark, well, at least the one we used in the last bar I worked in, looks dark blue. As soon as you use it, it looks purple as fuck.
Well, that's it. It's so the reason butterfly pea extract or butterfly peas have blown up recently is because they are a natural pH indicator.
Yeah.
So for anyone who hasn't done chemistry, pH scale is the scale of how acidic something is. So at 1, you've got, lemon and lime juice, acids, and then right to the other end, you've got your basic ingredients, like that round about the
simple
8
syrup. Which, I mean, granted, when I look at this, it looks kind of like in color and the ingredients. Like, what's they doing? Picture and piano. It's a butterfly effect. It kind of looks like a tall version of a butterfly effect, especially with like the flower on top as well. Butterfly effect didn't taste as good as I would assume this would, because this has Parma Violet gin instead of fucking lavender gin.
To be honest with you, I say like most floral flavors tend to lend themselves to each other. It's and this is a thing I've said to most people. Like, so at the moment, currently training a girl I work with to do what I do. I've lost my train of thought here. Where was I going with this?
Teaching someone how to make drinks. We were talking about the butterfly juice and the butterfly pea extract in that drink.
No, I've lost it. Never mind.
Well, let me ask you a question instead. So obviously I know from the start, like from when you started really putting these photos up when we were in Turtle Bay, and obviously I've seen the progression of like when you first started out and you couldn't even take a clear photograph of the drink originally.
Yeah.
And then so obviously I know your progression in terms of, what you've had to learn of how to take photographs better, how to, actually hashtag them properly, how to write better descriptions and like how to tag in these businesses. So is there any sort of, don't know how to actually explain just kind of your little journey you've had from the very first start to sort of now and sort of things you might have learned along the way to help you do better at building this?
When I first started, I didn't even realize you had to put a hashtag with anything. I didn't, and like I said, to be honest, at the beginning, it didn't really matter to me that much because it was more of it started out as more of a record for me to look back on. But as, like I said, it started to grow and get more attention. I said, oh, maybe I should, try a bit harder with it. And like I said, so I took some advice from you about the photos, which helped tremendously. Honestly, that's probably one of the biggest bits of advice was what you gave me is to, actually, your camera on your phone is not going to be the best camera in the world. You then need to take it back and do a little bit of editing, not
of course
anything amazing or fancy, just a little bit of, increase the clarity here and that sort of thing, just so you can see the definition between the garnish and the glass better, stuff like that.
And that's such a key thing as well. How people always assume they need to get a professional camera, they need an editor, they need someone to actually, you don't. Take it on your phone, stick it through a quick editor, just put a filter over it sometimes is all it'll need, depending on lighting. Upload that shit.
Most people who like, if you're starting out and you're going, why aren't my pictures like looking like the pictures that you see on some of these World Cocktail Bible and stuff? Well, like I said, we've got to remember is these photos likely have professional food photographers. They are most certainly edited in some way. Don't get me wrong, that the drink, if you look at it, is still in real life is still going to be fantastic to look at and amazing because you are there witnessing it in person. However, trying to translate that to camera doesn't always work. So that's why we get food photographers. That's why you edit photos. Right? Obviously, you're not there to change dramatic features of the drink, but you're there to try and get that drink to look more like what it does when you see it in person.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something I would say is not to get disheartened when it's like, oh, why doesn't my drink look like this? Why doesn't that? Likelihood is money and experience. But practice, and like I said, use a little bit of photo editing at times. It doesn't, you're not cheating by doing that. It's
just aesthetics.
Yeah, it's unless you are a professional photographer, you're going to need that. But yeah, that's one thing I would say is probably one of the biggest bits. As for Instagram, I'm still working that out.
You're not the most. I honestly think because you're like as much as you put them up and that. I think you'll admit you're not like the most technological person. Like you don't really give a fuck about Instagram.
No.
Like, it's not your base. And I mean, and a lot of people aren't. But the key thing is that you've still took it and you're still creating actionable value from it. So you're still actually doing what you need to do and learning what is essential to be able to get to where you want to be and take your passion that direction.
Yeah, I think what you know, practice makes perfect, and commitment. You know, I mean, don't be wrong. There's points where I've had a couple months off where I haven't posted a drink because you know I've been going through whatever, or I just haven't got the money to go out and do this, and that's fine. Like, if you can't do it, you can't do it. You know, your personal life has got to come first, but you've always got to try and aim to be consistent with getting posts out there. And at the end of the day, if you stop doing it, you're going to lose momentum. You know, people are going to stop following you. You're going to use it's
all algorithm as well.
Yeah, just keep pushing at it, I suppose. And it's the same thing for the drinks themselves, not just about, say, an Instagram following or anything like that. It's you know, practice makes perfect with your drinks. So people, what was it? So the girl I'm training at the moment, she asked me like how long she should be shaking a drink for, and I had to stop and think about that because I don't.
You don't think about it anymore.
No, it's just I sort of no, and it is practice. And the same when it came to shaking it itself, like she couldn't put as much force behind it, and her arms got tired real soon.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I hate this." I'm like you'll get used to it. Like, it is your muscle memory. The more you do something, the better you get at doing that, regardless of what it is that you're doing. It doesn't have to be about cocktails. It could be about anything you want. The more time you put into something, the better you're going to get at it, and that's the bottom line. Of
course, yeah. Everything's just like repetition, especially with bartending. Yeah. Like, if you, especially to learn a cocktail, everything is repetition.
Oh, definitely. Like, so if you were to ask me now, some of the cocktails I used to make, certainly Lasagna's, but even Turtle Bane, that was only 4 or 5 months ago. I'd struggle to tell you. I couldn't pass a spec test right now. So a lot, like, certainly when it comes to recipes and stuff like that, it's use it or lose it. I don't think you'll ever like use the basic skills. You know what they say? It's like learning how to ride a bike. The basic skills will always be there. You may be a little bit rusty or whatever, but yeah, but as it comes to recipes and things like that, it is very much use it or lose it.
Man, I actually wanted to pick you on this a little bit. Obviously, you're slamming up all these photographs, you've got all these posts, and I was having a quick look through who actually follows you. Man, you're starting to get some nice followers up. Like,
I know, it's surprising.
Honestly, you've got like Ford's Gin. You're followed by Grand Mariner. You're followed by Campari. Like,
what one was it? 2018 and 2019 Gold Awards for the rum from the Foursquare Distillery.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So like, it is surprising. Like, because like I said, I haven't got a huge Instagram following. Like, I've got friends who their private accounts like nearly double what I've got. Do you know what I mean? I'm not exactly an Instagram influencer or anything. But I'm very happy with people that do follow my stuff, and the people that I do tend to interact with when it comes to the cocktail side of it is, they are real brands. They are other cocktail bars around the world, other mixologists. Instagram is very good for, you can feel part of a scene. You can get involved very quickly with other people of this similar passion, similar ilk, of all different skill levels as well. Yeah. So I've got certain people who follow my stuff. I'm like, why on earth are they following me? Have you seen what they can do? But that's what I mean. Instagram is a very friendly place. It's a very forgiving place. It's, if you think about stuff like Reddit and stuff you hear about, like, I wouldn't like
people get tore apart on there.
I'd get my asshole torn to fucking pieces in minutes. Yeah. Instagram is it's a very friendly environment. It encourages you to, carry on what you're doing and to get better. So I think Instagram is a great place to start any sort of passion, really.
No. Have you considered looking at I know, obviously, we've said about this before, but I mean, it's been such a long time since we properly talked about this. So, like, have you looked at trying to potentially get sponsorship or semi-sponsorship from any of these companies as well?
Not yet. I think maybe in the future. At the moment, I feel my Instagram maybe is still a little bit too small. I haven't really got enough reach right now, I don't think. But maybe in the future, most definitely, is something I'd like to look into, and any support is welcome. Do you know what I mean?
Of
Like,
course.
but I feel at this point in time, I'd be getting way more out of it than they would on their side. So
Yeah,
yeah,
of course.
like, don't get me wrong, it's not me trying to put down my own ability or anything like that. But like I said, I've got mates who on their private Instagram are nearly 3 or 4 times what my
Oh
following is. So I
yeah,
haven't got that reach. Although the people that I am reaching are very much within the industry.
yeah, of course. And I mean, that's, to be fair, that's smart. Like, you're setting your sights a tangible level. Like, I mean, you're looking for tangible results, and obviously you're not going to try and shoot for a sponsorship for a company that's never going to even look.
Like, don't get me wrong, maybe some smaller, because at the end of the day, like, in the last few years, craft liquor has exploded. I mean, if you go back maybe 10 years or so, there wasn't really this craft alcohol scene. I'm not even talking about craft cocktails now. I'm talking about like your craft gins, your craft vodkas.
Oh yeah, no. So like with the digital marketing agency, that's the industry we're in at the minute, is all craft alcohol, craft beer, sorry, and craft gins is what we're actually working with at the minute.
Well, so that's what I mean. And 'cause I mean, you remember as a kid where, I mean, it might have been different. I mean, you grew up in Ireland, but I imagine it's still very much the same. If you ordered rum, it was most likely you were going to be given Captain Morgan's or Bacardi. If you
Oh
ordered
yeah,
gin, you were most going to get Gordon's. And vodka was always going to be Smirnoff. There was accepted brands; they were everywhere. That's no longer the case. There's loads and loads, but now, like I said, there's loads out there, and there's more and more coming all the time. A lot of time they start small, so maybe somewhere a smaller brand that may just starting up, I might be of use to someone like that. If so, more than happy. Yeah, great. But realistically, for anyone that's already sort of established themselves as a craft spirit, I don't think I have a lot to offer at this point in time.
yeah, of course. And I mean, like, so I don't know if you've seen it. I actually only read the article because one of I was what's the best way? Yeah, I was in a business meeting the other day, and I was talking to one of these prospective clients, and they are a gin distillery based up in Scotland, and we were actually discussing that morning an article had been published discussing how craft gin in Scotland is absolutely fucking blowing up, as well craft vodka up there as well. Like off with.
There's loads of lovely craft spirits coming out of Scotland. There's a lot more rums starting to come out that way. I mean, obviously Scotland's been known for whiskey for
Loads of rum at the minute. It's well
yeah,
weird how much rum's being made over here.
yeah. I love it. At the end of the day, yeah. I mean, you could argue that the market is getting more and more saturated and this and that, but at the end of the day, all that does is push people to get more creative and bolder with what they're trying to do. I mean, especially like you see with the whole legalization of cannabis, certainly in major places in the world, and certainly like the rise of CBD, you're now getting CBD infused spirits or alcohol made with hemp. I'm pretty sure there's a brand. I'm not sure if they're following me or I'm following them, but one of the two or both,
Hemp
like
vodka.
hemp vodka or Jindica. Yeah, there's one called Jindica as well. I saw recently. So there's loads of stuff like that. There's even more crazy shit. Like I can't remember the name of the brand now, but I think it's gin. It's either gin or vodka, one of the two, and it's made using formic acid, which comes from ants.
Right.
So it's like ant gin or something like that. Like that's taking stuff to a whole new level, which I love. That if you can take something that's similar to the original product, replace it and tweak it, and still end up with something slightly different, that's amazing. Like what they do with like the casein and black cow vodka and stuff, and making it from milk proteins instead of your grains or your potatoes and that.
Yeah.
So that just all it does is it forces people to find more weird and wonderful niches.
Well, that's it. I mean, the market can be saturated, but it's a market that, even while saturated, can still be broken into as long
Yeah,
as you have the correct niche. Like I say, this one I was talking to you last week.
uh,
In Scotland, they actually handpick their own Carnegie seaweed from the coastline, and that's what
yeah,
gets distilled into their gin. The same as I was talking to another one, Strathleven distillery in Scotland. I was talking with. And they're actually basically, I would say, leading the charge for different fermentation and distillation methods coming out of Scotland. So they obviously used to focus very heavily on their whiskey. They've actually completely moved now, and they pump out a shit ton of gin and a shit ton of Scottish vodka now. And that's how they're doing it, is all their gin and vodka is distilled and fermented in these different ways. They're looking at different casks, different processes and stuff like that there to get in there. And it's absolutely taken the industry by storm up there.
That's what it's all about. Like, if you can do something differently and it ends with a similar product but with a different aspect to it, that's what at the end of the day, vodka is always going to be vodka, gin is always going to be gin.
It's just different hops and malts.
Yeah, it's about finding your own perspective on it. It's, you know, at the end of the day, like, put a Gordon's in front of me, I'm still going to be happy. But I love going to a bar that's got a huge back wall of different craft spirits, and you could sit there all day trying different stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's what takes it into a career and a culture rather than we're just getting pissed.
Yeah. And it's more important now. I mean, people want the more option. Like Turtle Bay, you can get away with having one flavour gin, one regular gin, and one, but you know what I mean? But having a lot of rums, obviously, just because it's Turtle Bay. But then when you go somewhere like where I was working last in Pitcher and Piano, and it's like you have a minimum of like 20 vodkas, you've got 15 gins, you've got 15 rums. Like, it's scary.
Sorry to keep bringing it back to Maisie's as well.
Go for it.
But like I said, that's where I'm working currently. So, but the problem with Maisie's is they haven't space. The bar that we've got it's been put together. I don't think it was originally ever really meant to be a bar. If it was, it's been, but you know, it's, put it this way, it hasn't got like proper stations or anything. There isn't really, space is the issue. Like, you know, you can run it as a bar. It's never, I don't think, we certainly couldn't run it the way we used to run it in Turtle Bay. You couldn't sort of pump out that volume.
Oh yeah.
But that's fine because it's a small restaurant. You're never going to need to run it
high
like
capacity.
You would.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's a different ballgame. But on the subject of, like, you know, I was saying about large back bar and selection spirits, that's not really an option in somewhere like Maisie's where we don't have that space. The challenge for someone like that is trying to incorporate flavors into your own flavors into it, and taking drinks that someone already knows and likes, to taking, you know, Gordon, or taking, it could still be a craft spirit, but maybe not the same range, but doing your own additions to it and your own ways of working it for like, so we started to make all our own syrups and flavorings in house. I made what's known as a shrub the other day, which, if anyone hasn't tried, is a great way to try something different. If you're getting bored of doing your standard sort of, you know, syrup, lime juice, alcohol, a shrub is a great way of, you know, incorporating new flavors in the same sort of drink. So basically, how a syrup's made, it's you flavor the water with sugar and that's your syrup. With a shrub, you flavor vinegar and add sugar. So now this, instead, that way you don't have to add lemon or lime juice. This acts as your acid and your sweetener, and it adds a completely different flavor context. You're now using vinegar, and like you said, there's loads of different types of vinegars as well. Each one offers another different flavor set. So there's so many ways of being able to keep things interesting, even if you haven't got the space to stock. Because, you know, I'd love to have a huge back bar. It's just not an option. But you know, that doesn't mean that you can't then do craft stuff. There's always a way of doing something. There's always a way of getting something to work. You've just got to keep fiddling with it.
Oh yeah, of course. So what is, well, I'm going to ask, what is your plan? You might not even have one. Have you thought about any way you actually want to sort of scale your Instagram side and scale your sort of name brand ahead of your other 5-year plan in regards to the coffee and also obviously separate from that? Has there been any sort of plan that you've kind of, or an idea you really have in your head?
Well, I think once me and Lauren, we need to sit down. We really need to sort of figure out how we want to brand this business, like our mobile business. Because obviously I've got how I want to brand my future cocktail bar. Like that, I've had that in my head for years now.
I could tell you that. I've heard it so many times. I could fucking tell you word for word what you want your bar to look like.
I know. So that's not going to change. I'm sticking firm on that. However, with this mobile cocktail thing, that's something that let's figure this out together, because Lauren's obviously going to have her ideas with it. So it's something that we definitely need to sit down and figure out what sort of branding and image that we want to create. Once we've done that, I think, I'll probably try and start linking it through my Instagram to begin with, just to generate some sort of following there. I'm sure Lauren will do the same. I'm going to try and talk to Lauren about starting her up to try and get the coffee side of it going, bring the two cultures together, because I don't know anything about coffee. I'm learning bits and pieces, because Maisie's, do coffee and that. So I am getting there. I'm learning, but Lauren would be able to run that so much better. So I think at the moment it's play our own strengths, figure out what we want to do, how we want to brand our image, and then once we know that, sort of bring it all together and see where we end up, really.
100%. I mean, people don't realize, like, branding in a sense is actually very easy. Yeah. So when you think branding, you stick a name on it, you stick a logo, you have colors, you have your brand ethos, and you kind of stick to that. And that's a sort of brand. But I don't think people sort of you don't think you comprehend until you actually try to do it yourself, the sort of brain difficulties you have to get your head twisted around if you're trying to brand multiple assets at the same time. So like with me, which is why I'm bringing it up, because I think it'll probably be the same for you, is I have my brand, which is Johnny Thompson, which is my podcast out is Project Passion with Johnny Thompson. My Instagram is Johnny Thompson. But at the same time, I also put out content under my JT Media Marketing brand. So it's kind of drawn that line of, well, and for me, it works out easier for me because I know that my personal brand and my marketing agency are both run with the same sort of values. So I don't pretend to be one thing and then do another thing. Mine's all sort of, this is my brand personally, and when it's business, it just has a different logo.
It's that separation of, this is one thing, this is me. Yeah. We are very much an association, but we are
separate entities.
Yeah, we're separate entities. However, we are very much, together we make up this, we have our own separate things going on.
Mm-hmm. Especially starting out, people don't realize as well. Like people think, or it's not people don't realize, that's not right to say. People don't comprehend why. Like at the minute, people are like, well, you're putting out a podcast as Project Passion with Johnny Thompson, but it's produced, mixed, and edited by JT Media Marketing. I'm like, yeah. Like, because I don't, like, Johnny Thompson is the host. JT Media Marketing is the production company. Yeah. That's the best way. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense now, but down the road, when there's a lot more going on and all the stuff that we have planned as a personal brand and as an agency, when they start coming to life, it makes so much more sense why we have forcefully diversified different aspects of the brand to be different niches, because some things are going to be, I mean, well, again, this is because of my podcast, I can say this. So with the JT Media Marketing, that's very much more of a professionalism. That's where I put out a lot of educational content in terms of social media tips and all that sort of stuff. But on the Johnny Thompson side, there's a lot of things I want to do that I wouldn't entertain with JT Media Marketing. So in regards to, like, as you said, the cannabis industry, a lot of people aren't going to understand it with the JT Media Marketing unless it's a client that's that I'm trying to work with. But under Johnny Thompson, I can do that. I can have them different sponsorship deals because I have specifically set myself up as a separate entity than my business.
Exactly. So for example, say, like I said, me and Lauren haven't gone into how we want to brand this business, but I don't know, say we say it's I don't know, Irish pub or a fucking Western bar, whatever. Like, it's probably not going to be either of those. But my point is, it's for sake of argument, it's one of them. Right. So the drinks and the products that we'd be selling would be linked to that somehow through whatever design, flavors, whatever. So they would very much be associated with that. However, if I come up with a drink because, it's what I do, it's not always going to be it's not always going to tie in with that image. I wouldn't then want to put it through that, market that through that brand.
Exactly. So you put it for your own personal brand.
Exactly. It's for things that, they don't always mix.
Of course.
Doesn't mean you don't want to not do something.
I want you to have like a sick name. Like I've thought about this since the very first day you came in and told me Bulldog Gin had liked one of your photographs. I was like, you need to get hashtagging. You need to get better photographs. Because I remember having that conversation on the edge of the bar, and I was like, if that's the case, I'm like, if Bulldog Gin are liking your shit, I'm like, that's up there. I'm like, you need to get hashtagging. You need to get like a name. You need to get branded. You need to get watermarks on your photos. Like,
well, we'll get there eventually. Like I said, for me personally, especially looking at the photos and the cocktails I'm doing since being at Maisie's, I feel like they've gone up another level again.
Yeah.
Not a huge level, but enough that I feel it's noticeable for me. So yeah, I think soon that's probably something I'm going to need to start looking into a bit more, and just trying to understand Instagram a bit better. So I recently changed my Instagram account to, was it professional setting or something like that?
Yeah, you've got to do a business setting, so you have, I think.
Yeah, I didn't even know you could fucking do that. I had no idea I'm still figuring Instagram out. I don't really understand it, but it's still probably the best outlet I have for my content at the moment. Because like I said, my Facebook is, I use that for sharing memes. It's not something I really, again, brand association. I don't really say I want to associate with my cocktails and that. It's
exactly.
You know what I mean? I might have to do maybe an online Instagram course or so, just something to understand Instagram itself a bit better and how it works. Because I know you always go on about algorithms and that. But that's...
Yeah. Well, this is one thing I've been looking at. So weirdly, the people I've obviously had on the podcast, previous guests, do weird. I'm not going to claim it's to do with me, but as soon as they go off the podcast, they seem to get like a little head start. Like, swear to God, Layla Evelyn Designs.
Hey.
Swear to God, Layla Evelyn Designs, guest one, came on, walked off the show, and basically, walked into a potential contract. Dan Tate came on the show, walked into a motorsport industry job. He'd been looking for one for months, mate. Came off this podcast, went for a job interview, and they actually said, we can't give you this job because you're too well qualified. And they wrote him a new contract and gave him made a job. Like, people come off this podcast and somehow just pick up wings and start fucking taking off. And obviously we're trying to do this. I mean, it's crazy, like, the things. So, I mean, anyone out there, if you're a alcohol brand, if you're a spirit brand and you want to try and find a new brand ambassador or a new sponsor, look for James.
Or even coming up with a drink. I've got no problem just doing that. I love what I do. I'm quite happy to experiment with most things. Like, I've had times where I've been trying to, make my own liqueurs. I'd love to learn how to distill this. I just love alcohol. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's there's so much that can be done. I think the world is sort of starting to realize the amount that can be done with it. I think before it was just a tool to get drunk. It was very, there wasn't really this enjoyment of it that we have today.
For people that are on podcast, James is sitting here just rolling a cigarette. This very much sums up the sort of like the bartender persona, doesn't it? It's like, I don't care, I can roll a cigarette while we're doing this. It's fine. It's not even an issue. We can have a conversation. I can do two things at once.
Exactly. Oh yeah, like multitasking. If anyone says that men can't multitask, just grab any
bartender. Yeah.
Like you'll find they can multitask like a motherfucker. They are brilliant at it.
Oh, yeah.
Have to. It's certainly in like places like Turtle Bay and Las Iguanas where it's going 1,000 miles a minute.
As long as you don't ask them to clean out their Boston and their blender.
Oh yeah. No, I'm fucking terrible for that. Sorry, JT.
Yeah, I've worked with James for 1.5 years, 2 years, and in 2 years, I think he washed his own blender out 4 times. Every time you turn around, there's no Bostons left. Where's all the Bostons in that sink? Dreads has used them all.
Yeah, but the drinks got out on time.
The drinks go out on time, innit? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, someone else clean this up, please.
So, honestly, I reckon we've been here for like an hour. I think me and you could obviously probably talk about bartending for like 4 hours if we wanted to.
We could do it for days.
But I think at this point, if you have any tips for anyone else that wants to get into the hospitality industry, wants to actually not just be a weekend bartender, but wants to actually build a career, do you have any tips for people?
Yeah. So I've got two things. If being a career bartender is something that you want to do, it's something that you are going to have to want to really do. Because for the first however many years it is or yeah, you may be lucky, I don't know. But for me, I was bartending for about 4-5 years or so before it really got to a point before I was like, shit, I can actually make a living doing this.
Yeah.
It was something that I did because I enjoyed doing, and although I was getting paid, I was watching my overdraft every month just get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Oh yeah, don't be a bartender if you want to make a lot of money really quickly.
It's not going to happen.
No.
However, if you want to be a career bartender, your goal should be to be as good at your craft as possible. So, which leads me on to my second bit of advice: ask why you're doing what you're doing.
100%. Yeah.
Why do we use lemon and lime juice? Why do you need an acid in a cocktail? Why, get down to the chemistry level understanding of it? Because when you understand why you're doing what you're doing and why you're using certain ingredients, being able to build and craft a cocktail takes on a whole new level of creativity, and it helps you understand to look for other ingredients, because I can use for using the egg white as emulsifier. I now know that egg white's emulsifier, so we can use oils and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Little pieces. Just ask why.
Exactly.
And if someone can't tell you why, Google it.
Yeah.
Google answers. That's all I've done.
Ask all the questions.
I'll Google it. Done. That's probably the biggest bit of advice I've got.
And I mean, this will tie in really well because in I need to check my calendar. It's not next week we have him on, but I think it's the week after. We have Adam Barlow coming on, who obviously you know as well. Yeah, Big Adam's coming on, and with him we're going to be discussing more exactly that. So how from his perspective of being in upper management and dealing with people coming into the industry, and we're going to then discuss. So that's one for you guys as well. 2 weeks' time, we're going to have another one with Adam Barlow, who was our assistant manager, wasn't he? Yes, he was our assistant manager in Turtle Bay before we both left.
Yeah.
And we're going to have Adam on. We're going to discuss pretty much the same thing, the hospitality industry, but from a different perspective, just to give people listening that perspective of here's a bartender who came up through the ranks, paid his dues in different bars, went around, found what he loves, and then you're obviously building up you've got your Instagram, you've got your own business ideas, and then you've got Adam, who is very much a franchise manager, I would say. So he's very much doesn't want to open a bar, but is very much can run any bar.
Yeah, he's the sort of person you bring on to help run your business. He's, like I said, he's worked in so many other bars as well. He's
wealth of knowledge, if nothing else.
Yeah, he's sort of us, but a few years on, a bit more experienced again. Yeah. Maybe again, once you get to a certain level, you diversify in what you do. Like you said,
exactly.
Things I've definitely thrown my energies into the creation side of it and the product itself. Whereas you guys, can please come run my bar, because I'm going to be busy making drinks and coming up with pointless shit.
Well, my thing is, I was going to be. I wanted to be. Everyone said, "What do you want to be?" I said, "I want to be a career bartender. I don't care what you say. I'm going to be a career bartender." And then I kind of went, you know what? I was like, I love bartending, but I don't like working for other people. That was my problem from the start. Is I love bartending as a passion, as a hobby. I fucking love it. But I just fucking hate working for dickheads. Do you know what I mean? I don't fucking like people, man.
Well, that's the thing. The people I'm working for at the moment are lovely, and I literally said to them the other day, I was like, I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do, but I haven't got the patience for it. Yeah,
exactly.
At some point, I'm gonna flip my lid. So that's another bit of advice. If you need to have some insane, ungodly saint level patience if you're trying to get into this industry, because people will push you. You meet some characters,
and I mean genuinely as well, if you're learning how to bartend, I mean, I think people sometimes would rather stand there and just kind of wait to be told what to do. Whereas if you're working on a busy bar, it'll be so much more appreciated if you just pick up fucking anything and start doing it.
Yeah.
Just start doing something. Someone will tell you to do something else if need be, but just stay fucking busy.
Golden rule of thumb: if you don't know what you should be doing, start cleaning something.
Yeah. Get your cleaning list out. Get your weekly clean sheet out.
Just clean something in the meantime.
Yeah. There's always something needs cleaned. I mean, you always need to do speed reels. Always need done. Fridges need bleached out. You have to do back bar, front bar, clean the bottle.
You're not looking hard enough.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be honest. Every bar has a clean sheet as well.
I can't remember who said that to me, but it stuck with me. If you can't find something to do, you're not looking hard enough, and it's the truth. It's the same with everything.
I mean, I never looked hard enough in Turtle Bay. It was like, JT, have you done your pour test? I was like, nah, I'll do it tomorrow. Just can't be bothered. And then even when I did, I would just stand there and make up numbers.
With it in the end, I was like, yeah, whatever, it's JT.
I mean, to be fair, let's be very honest. I probably should have been fired from that bar a lot more times than the one time I quit.
To be fair, I think every bartender ever should have been fired from a bar they've worked at.
Oh, 100%.
Bartenders are a certain breed. It takes a certain want to be up until stupid o'clock in the morning getting people drunk. And
do you know who understands it? Right. Well, I think as I said, we could probably fucking just chat for hours. That's what we usually do. But I think as long as you're cool, you have nothing else to add, we can wrap it up there.
So I think enough warnings and enough advice and enough storytelling.
Well said. Me and you could talk for hours, so very likely I'll get you back on again anyway at some point.
Oh yeah, no worries. Hopefully next time I might even have the little bar running by then. Who knows?
All right, so yeah, guys, same as always. Like, share, subscribe. Please follow the podcast. We are now on every major platform: Spotify, Anchor, Deezer, iTunes, Google Podcasts, fucking SofaCast, Radio Republic. There's like 9 different. Wherever you're on, I would say preferably Spotify, but I don't care. Go listen to it anywhere. Please like, please follow. If you want to catch me, same as always, guys, JT Media Marketing on Facebook. So it's facebook.com/JT Media Marketing. If you want to get me on Instagram for any sort of behind the scenes, little extra bits when we're getting the production set up like this, it is just Instagram is _Johnny Thompson. And for James, if you're trying to get James on Instagram, his will be McKnight.James1. At the minute, until we get him rebranded with a better name. But McKnight.James1. All links will be in the description, no matter where you're listening, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. As I say, come back next week. Next week is the one we've all been waiting for. I'm not going to tell you who it is now or what the industry is, but it is one you will not want to miss. It is going to be fantastic. It's going to be really good, genuine. And yeah, guys, that's it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed. And let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll catch you next week. Have a good time.